Good evening. You're watching The Nation at 5 right here on CNN News 18. My name is Toya Singh. This is the show where we bring you stories from across the country and the world. Our first story, we're taking you to the continued situation in the Middle East. As we speak, the IDF is saying that they have encircled along with their troops the outside of Gaza City. We're also learning that the death toll is nearing 10,000 people as we speak. Now, the big breaking news that we're sharing with you right now, that we're starting our show with, is that top sources are telling our reporters that India will not be banning Hamas or prosecuting or designating it as a terrorist organization. That's the important part. You remember that weeks after this entire story started, which is on October 7th, remember, it started with Hamas firing out missiles into parts of southern Israel. Weeks after that, you had the Israeli ambassador come out and say that he wanted India to designate Hamas as a terrorist organization. Now, India making it clear that it will not be doing that. We're going to very quickly walk you through pointers as to why sources are telling our audiences that India has decided not, in fact, to go ahead with that move. Why it has decided that, what the reasons are, what has led to this decision, the set of laws under which India usually designates an organization as a terrorist organization. We're going to walk you through all of that right here on the screen behind me. So, as we said, number one, no plans to ban Hamas at all in India, as you can see. This is the big takeaway. Now, it's usually under the UAPA that the country decides to designate any organization as a terrorist organization within the country. That usually means that there are some local issues under which it is designated as such. Now, as we're telling you over here, this is being seen as the first time that Palestinian groups have operated deep inside the Israeli state. That is being taken note of by Indian intelligence agencies. At the same time, they are also noticing right here in India, there is the radicalization of youth taking place. Youth is noticing what is taking place in this entire conflict in the Middle East. But when it comes to why they've decided not to designate Hamas in this manner, so not to call it a terrorist organization, number one, it's because the United Nations doesn't have it in its designated lists of terrorist organizations. Other reasoning there is that there are groups within India too that are silent. However, signs are not positive. We'll have a reporter joining us to bring us more domestic input, how sources are reading developments, how reporters are reading developments right here. But no announcements, as you can see over here, being made. Invitations have been given to Hamas leaders. Remember, we told you that in Kerala, just a few days ago, there was a rally that took place where you did have a Hamas leader address those who were gathered in the rally via video conference. Security agencies, as we're pointing out, did take notice of that. But to understand more about this story, let's go over to my colleague Anand Narasimhan, who joins us this evening to bring us more context. Anand, can you start off by telling our audiences, how is an organization designated as a terrorist organization in India? What's the process?
Well, most importantly, they need to have activities on Indian soil. Either if they are proscribed by the UN, then that gives us grounds because the UN has proscribed it. So that's why we look at proscription of the organization. Otherwise, if that organization has seeded itself in India, there is terror funding, there is training, and there are activities against the state, against Bharat, then it gets proscribed. Right now, Hamas is not proscribed as far as Indian soil is concerned because it's an issue which is outside of India, although it resonates in Bharat. The larger problem is also that there is no delineation between the activities of Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, and the Israel-Palestinian two-state political issue. Now, many people in India are confused, or they mix one with the two, and they believe Hamas is just an extension of Palestine. And somewhere this narrative that's been pushed as a larger psyops, as the Israelis call it, by the Hamas seems to have worked. On the other hand, there is also the worry that the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan and now the Hamas attack over Israel could also lead to a certain level of radicalization and emboldening fundamentalist entities within. The larger challenge for the Indian intelligence and perhaps the state is that there should not be entities or individuals inside India who would get perhaps radicalized or be encouraged and emboldened to carry out something like what the Hamas did against non-Muslims in India, and that becomes a huge challenge. During the time of the Taliban takeover, there was a sudden rise and perhaps a migration or an affiliation towards the ISIS. Thankfully, there has been largely a control that's been made because the communities have worked together along with the state and the intelligence mechanisms. The elders have been able to keep the youth and make them understand. But there were ISIS modules which were active. Their attempts were thwarted. Their plans were negated. The arrests have been made. But we see from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and all the way from Gujarat to Assam and parts of the northeast, these elements are active. These elements were present and these modules have been broken down. So that is perhaps one of the biggest concerns for us. At this point, although there are calls that India should ban Hamas, Hamas is not active in India. So there's no direct reason why they are active in India. The UN has not backed Hamas, proscribed Hamas. So there is no reason why India should take a leaf from the UN ideals or what's being decided in the UN and say, all right, UN has banned it, so we will also proscribe it. America has called Hamas a terrorist outfit. We may opine that the act of Hamas is a terrorist act. The issue of the Israel-Palestine issue is a political issue, as a two-state issue. You need to look at it separately. That's not happened. And even entities who perhaps called for majlis and called for prayers, praying for Palestinian people, have not openly called the Hamas a terrorist outfit. That perhaps is an issue which the Indian intelligence is taking note of. And despite repeated requests that please separate and draw a line, it's not happening. The calling of or asking a Hamas leader to address digitally address a huge group gathering is something which could snowball into something greater, emboldening certain elements who now are part of or who were previously part of banned outfits, but now are quietly not openly stating that affiliation but seeding themselves into other organizations. They could give some turn here which could hurt people in India and the Indian social fabric itself. That is something which the agencies are going to be highly aware of and wary of.
Okay. Anand, thank you for bringing us that context. Now we have the defense expert A.K. Sivaj, who's also with us, Major General A.K. Sivaj. General, if I may come to you with this question. Just a few days ago, we heard the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar put out a statement. He put this on Twitter itself. In that statement, sir, he very much condemned the initial act and he called it a terror act. I just want to ask you, sir, is that then what we're going to see India do? Not formally designate it as a organization that is a terrorist organization, but at the same time, in its statements of condemning, perhaps refer to it as a terrorist organization? Is that almost what we're going to see the approach?
The point as on today is that as far as India is concerned, very rightly we brought out this, that the action which had taken place on 7th October by the Hamas on Israel is a terrorist action. And we condemn that. Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has come very openly. In fact, we were one of the country was very clear in our approach. But at the same time, we also said that we basically are with Palestinian as far as two-nation theory is concerned. We feel that that should be also resolved. Now, the question is Hamas be declared a terrorist state by India? I think it will take some more time because it is not only Hamas, it is also Hezbollah, it is also Houthi. But certainly one thing is very clear. What Hamas has done on 7th October is a terrorist action. And India is also a victim of terrorism. So we have taken a very strong position. To me, it looks like that, this will be discussed in time to come, whether Hamas to be declared as an international terrorist organization or not. But certainly, I don't think we have left anything by, especially once Minister has told very categorically that the action which was of Hamas on 7th October in Israel is a terrorist action. I suppose others are formality, it will take time. But remember one thing, that we have to also see our own interest.
Let me just come in here and ask you, sir, India's allies. So let's describe two different allies. As you already said, the United States had proscribed Hamas as a terrorist organization back in the 90s. At the same time, you also have an ally like Turkey calling Hamas a liberation group. So I just want to understand from you, there are some countries that have gone forward and designated the military parts, because Hamas is a very complex organization. It has political wings, it has military wings. Some countries have gone ahead and designated the military wing in specific as a terrorist organization, but not the entire organization. Do you think that's perhaps an approach that India should take?
Absolutely. I suppose so. That will be a much more dynamic procedure, because only targeting the military wing of the Hamas. Remember, very, very careful, because the complexity of this issue is quite a bit. After all, Hamas was indirectly ruling the Gaza Strip, and the Israelis had left that area in 2005. To some extent, it was considered that it's a political organization also. Right. But what they did on 7th October, there is no doubt left. It's a terrorist organization, and they are the one which have crossed all the limit of terrorism. So therefore, India must think on those lines that of declaring Hamas as a terrorist organization as far as the military wing. But we have to be very careful. See, the point is that we have to also see our larger interest. We have to also see what will be its impact on the Muslim countries in Middle East, the Islamic country. We are having a very good relation with them. Our energy security with it, maximum oil comes from there. We have also very good relation with Iran. We have with Saudi and UAE. So I suppose we need to take a larger picture, but certainly we have made it very clear that it's a terrorist organization. Whether we declare it formally as a terrorist state, time will only tell. But yes, there is no denying the fact. India was very clear in the thought process that whatever Hamas have done on 7th October is a terrorist action. And we stood by it. And at the same time, we also brought out this issue as far as the Palestine is concerned. We also say that there should be a solution of two nations. And Palestine also need to have a nation of theirs. And the point which we brought it very clearly that there is no requirement of having violence. Dialogue and diplomacy should prevail, and this violence should stop. So I suppose we have taken a very matured step, and without actually declaring Hamas as a terrorist organization, we conveyed everything. And I think our approach is very clear. And in time to come, we will be able to declare it in case other countries also declare. But then we have to be very, very careful that what implication it will have on the other Islamic countries. And that we have to see is our own national interest. I suppose otherwise we are standing by with Israel as far as this terrorist action is concerned. We have made it very clear. At the same time, India is one country which has sent more than 90 tons of support to the Palestinian in Gaza party, making sure that the medicine, food and all reach there. I suppose to me it looks like it's a more mature step and diplomatically more correct in an environment.
General Siraj, we do need to round up on this story. Thank you for providing us with your expertise on this story. Okay, we're moving on now from this story to a far more local one. One that if you're a resident of the Delhi region, the Delhi NCR region, in fact, you are possibly highly aware of. The AQI in the entire region continues to remain in the severe category. You might remember that on Saturday there was brief respite with the AQI becoming slightly better. It again plunged on Sunday and on Monday. Yesterday, the highest incidents of stubble fires were recorded in Punjab. 3,000 plus incidents of stubble fire burning taking place in Punjab. Haryana recording about 100 plus such incidents. Now, the Delhi government has put into stage their graded response action plan. It is already in its final stages. What that actually means is that the set of actions that the Delhi government will be unfolding will be the highest set of actions they can unfold. So, as of this coming Monday, we will see cars across the city returning to the odd-even policy that you might already be familiar with. What this essentially means is that cars with odd number plates can go on the road on some days, even number plates on the other days. Now, apart from this, there's a set of other actions that has already swung into action. We'll go to that in just a second. First, though, let's bring you ground reports. These are our reporters around the NCR region. Take a look.
That time of the year when sky turns grey and Delhi struggles for fresh air. It's November 2023 and in Delhi we have pollution and politics going hand in hand. As of now, I'm standing at the 30th floor of Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Civic Center, and from here I'll try to give you a sense as to what is the condition in the national capital as of now. As of now, I'm showing you the visual of Jama Masjid, which in general days is clearly visible from this particular place. However, because of the smog all around, the visibility is low and we are not able to see Jama Masjid. This is Old Delhi area and you can see that because of the haze, because of the smog, this is the condition that we are unable to see the structure as well. As of now, the fourth grade of graded response action plan, in fact the fourth level of graded response action plan has been invoked in the national capital, where we have several sort of measures that have been taken by the agencies, in fact the transport department. But once again, we are seeing the politics, in fact the blame game that BJP and Aam Aadmi Party are involved in. We are forced to inhale toxic air. We here in the national capital are forced to inhale the toxic air, but our governments, political parties are only involved in the blame game and common people are somewhere suffering.
Stage 4 of the Graded Response Action Plan has been implemented out here in the national capital, which means that vehicles coming from outside the borders of the national capital, they would be checked and stopped, and only those vehicles that are carrying essential commodities or are operating or CNG or on electronic mode will be allowed to enter the national capital. Currently, I am reporting from one such border of the NCR region. This road connects Gazipur, Uttar Pradesh state towards the national capital. If I could just move out of the frame and try and show you in the visuals over here, that none of the vehicles, absolutely no vehicles that are crossing this border are being checked. They are being allowed to travel inside the national capital unabated. Over the past 1 month, we have seen that several stages of the Graded Response Action Plan has been implemented out here in the national capital, but the reality on the ground seems to be absolutely different, because there are very few checkpoints that have been placed out here in the national capital to make sure that the GRAP, that is reason why the GRAP is implemented, that could also be implemented on the ground apart from being implemented on paper. A big reason behind this is being said that the civil defense volunteers who are part of the Delhi government have actually given up their job because they haven't gotten the salary for a very long time, and that is the reason why they are not deployed on the ground, making sure that whatever measures that have been implemented through the GRAP policy, that is implemented on the ground as well.
दिल्ली में पिछले 30 अक्टूबर से प्रदूषण के स्तर में धीरे धीरे बढ़ोतरी देखी जा रही है। वैज्ञानिकों का, मौसम विभाग का जो विश्लेषण है उसके अनुसार 30 अक्टूबर से जो दिल्ली के अंदर प्रदूषण के स्तर में बढ़ोतरी दर्ज की जा रही है, उसका मुख्य कारण टेम्परेचर का लगातार गिरना और हवा की स्पीड 30 अक्टूबर से लगातार ठहराव की स्थिति में है। पूरे 365 दिन दिल्ली के प्रदूषण को कम करने के लिए काम हो रहा है, समर एक्शन प्लान के माध्यम से और विंटर एक्शन प्लान के माध्यम से।
मैं एक चीज पूछना चाहता हूं, ये तो समस्या कोई पहली बार नहीं आई है, ये हर साल आती है, हर साल वायदे होते हैं, कहा जाता है कि स्मोक टावर लगाएंगे, केमिकल्स आए हैं, दिल्ली सरकार वादा करती जिससे खेत में पराली जल जाएगी। तो पहले तो कांग्रेस सरकार थी, आप पंजाब सरकार को इसलिए इल्जाम लगाते थे, अब तो आपकी सरकार है 2 साल से, वो पराली जली क्यों नहीं हुआ? स्मोक टावर आपके क्या कर रहे हैं? केंद्र सरकार को तो फुर्सत ही नहीं है, वो चुनाव प्रचार में लगी हुई है। दिल्ली को हवाले कर दिया है जहरीली गैसों के।
Next, we're taking you to a story coming in from an election-bound state. Mizoram and Chhattisgarh are both seeing elections tomorrow. Chhattisgarh is seeing its first phase. We're receiving news of an IED blast having taken place in the Kanker region of Bastar. Now, my colleague Arunima is actually with us on the ground. She's with us to tell us about the injured and exactly what took place. Arunima, earlier in the day today, you'd also told us an encounter had taken place in the same region. Can you bring us details about what's just happened?
Yes, this is the third incident reported, 2 today, 1 yesterday. In today's incident, what we are being told is that there was a team of BSF which was escorting a polling party in Kanker. The statement says this was a संयुक्त polling party के 4 टीम को लेकर कैंप मरबेड़ा से रेंगा घाटी. So from Marbeda camp to Renga Ghati, the polling personnel were being escorted when suddenly the polling party and one of the BSF personnel stepped on a pressure IED, and because of that explosion all 3 received grievous injuries, but they were taken to the nearest medical facility where treatment is on. This area is seeing a lot of Naxal activity, and I am coming to you live from Kanker. In fact, The topography, if you see behind me, is that of lush jungle combined with a hilly terrain. So that is what the Naxals are taking advantage of. They are putting in pressure IDs. They are firing from these hilly areas. That structure behind me, that's the kind of topography that you see in Kanker. So when you have the advantage of height, you can see the polling party and you can see the security personnel moving around while you are hidden from view. So this topography is what they are taking advantage of, firing and then just disappearing into the jungles. And in this case, they had even managed to plant an IED. The next 48 hours are very crucial for the security grid here. Narayanpur, Kanker, Bastar, Bijapur, Dantewada, Sukma. These areas are on high alert. 3-layered security has been pressed into service. Special commandos from DRG, from Cobra, from STF are on duty. In the sky here, drones and Mi-17 choppers are also keeping an eye. But till these elections get over, in these 20 seats, 12 in Bastar, 8 in Rajnandgaon, the security grid will have to be up on its toes.
Can you also tell us, Arunama, about the kind of preparation that's gone in for this election? Because thousands of villagers are going to be able to vote from their villages. Polling booths have been set up for the first time since independence. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
126 villagers will see a polling booth in their village for the first time. Some of these 126 are villagers who had so far trekked 8 to 10 kilometers. They had to pass through jungles, they had to climb hillocks to reach the nearest booth. In Dantewada, there are areas where the Indravati river separates booths from the villages, so they even had to take a boat ride to reach the nearest polling station. This time, the security agencies have built camps. 65 camps have been opened. So 126 villagers will not have to take that arduous trek. There are villages in Sukma. Dabakonta is one village where we travel to, which had never voted. Villagers there say, some of them 45, 50, 55-year-olds say they have never voted in their life. They don't even know what the voting process entails. So right from the pressing of that EVM button to getting that ink on their finger, the entire experience will be one in a lifetime for them. So to ensure that a 3-layered security is in place, there are dog squads and there are bomb disposal squads to look at the roads. There's also security at the border. So Chhattisgarh shares its border with Maharashtra, Telangana, Odisha and Madhya Pradesh. Naxals are known to carry out crimes in one state and then disappear into the jungle which is in the jurisdiction of another state. So the Chhattisgarh police can't really do much. So this time the borders have also been alerted. Telangana, Maharashtra, Odisha and Madhya Pradesh police will also keep an eye in the jungles bordering Chhattisgarh. And other than that, like I said, drones and Mi-17s will keep an eye on the sky to really keep an eye in the sky to really look at what is happening deep inside the forest areas to track down Naxal movement, if any.
Arunama, thank you for that context. My colleague Arunama will also be bringing us ground coverage through the day tomorrow when we cover the first phase. It's time for a short break. On the other side, more of the country's top stories. This is The Nation at 5.
The weather and wind conditions. Will our governments finally get their acts together and put in a policy that would make sure that the AQI in the national capital that turns the Delhi NCR region into a gas chamber year in and year out, that could be improved for once and for all.
बोल रहे हैं 900 से ऊपर चला गया। मुझे समझ में नहीं आता कि ये पराली का जो प्रॉब्लम है ये हर साल का प्रॉब्लम है, स्पेसिफिक इसी टाइम पे क्यों होता है। ब्लेम गेम चल रहा है कि दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट बोलती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट बोलती है दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट। बोल रहे हैं 900 से ऊपर चला गया। मुझे समझ में नहीं आता कि ये पराली का जो प्रॉब्लम है ये हर साल का प्रॉब्लम है, स्पेसिफिक इसी टाइम पे क्यों होता है। और यहाँ पे इतनी हालत ख़राब है। मैं जोधपुर में था 15 दिन, वहाँ जोधपुर में तो आसमान में आप तारे गिन लो, उत्तराखंड में चले जाओ वहाँ तारे गिन लो। तो गवर्नमेंट को कुछ करना चाहिए। ब्लेम गेम चल रहा है कि दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट बोलती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट बोलती है दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट, और 500 किलोमीटर की रेंज भी नहीं है। हरियाणा और पंजाब तो कोई एक ही, अगर देखा जाए जोग्राफिकली कोई बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंस नहीं है। तो कुछ ना कुछ होना चाहिए। खाली मुझे नहीं लगता कि खाली पराली का ही कारण है, और भी बहुत सारे कारण हैं। तो कुछ ना कुछ होना चाहिए, क्योंकि दिल्ली में रहना मतलब ये है, अगर आप दिल्ली में रह रहे हो तो अपनी लाइफ जो है आप 5-7 साल डेफिनेटली कम कर रहे हो कंपेयर टू अदर प्लेस जहाँ पे ये सब स्थिति नहीं है। तो स्थिति बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। कुछ ना कुछ ज़रूर होना चाहिए, मुझे लगता है।
Stage 4 of the Graded Response Action Plan has been implemented out here in the national capital, which means that vehicles coming from outside the borders of the national capital, they would be checked and stopped, and only those vehicles that are carrying essential commodities or are operating or CNG or on electronic mode will be allowed to enter the national capital. Currently, I am reporting from one such border of the NCR region. This road connects Gazipur, Uttar Pradesh state towards the national capital. If I could just move out of the frame and try and show you in the visuals over here, that none of the vehicles, absolutely no vehicles that are crossing this border are being checked. They are being allowed to travel inside the national capital unabated. Over the past 1 month, we have seen that several stages of the Graded Response Action Plan has been implemented out here in the national capital, but the reality on the ground seems to be absolutely different, because there are very few checkpoints that have been placed out here in the national capital to make sure that the GRAP, that the reason why the GRAP is implemented, that could also be implemented on the ground apart from being implemented on paper. A big reason behind this is being said that the civil defense volunteers who are part of the Delhi government have actually given up their job because they haven't gotten the salary for a very long time, and that is the reason why they are not deployed on the ground, making sure that whatever measures that have been implemented through the GRAP policy, that is implemented on the ground as well. So yes, it remains to be seen if at all the Delhi government can find some way to make sure that whatever policies they are trying to bring in at this point in time to make sure that the air quality remains under control and people of Delhi are allowed to breathe in fresh air, that is implemented on the ground. But yes, hectic parleys are continuing between the Delhi government and the Delhi administration, but we are still waiting to see some concrete solution that is given out and that could be implemented on the ground, which could eventually mean that the people of Delhi who are running from pillar to post to just get a grasp of fresh air can actually breathe in fresh air and air that is safe for them, safe for the children and safe for their parents as well. Fourth straight day when the AQI in the national capital has remained in the severe category, which means the AQI has remained above 400 for 4 consecutive days, which means that the air that the people of Delhi are breathing is becoming toxic and worse day by day. Currently, I am reporting from the pollution hotspot of the national capital, that is the I.N.D.I.A bus terminal. From today itself, the Graded Response Action Plan Stage 4 has been implemented, which means due to which we can expect that the traffic in the national capital might be under control. But if I could show you in the visuals over here, these are the kind of visuals that we are bringing to you live from I.N.D.I.A terminal. If you could see the manner in which the vehicles are still plying on the road according to the grab that has been implemented, the stage 4 of the grab that has been implemented, no vehicles who are operating on diesel engines should be allowed to enter the national capital until and unless they are helping in essential commodities or they are operating on CNG.
Welcome back. You're watching Nation at 5. We now have for you our next breaking news story. This regarding the I.N.D.I.A alliance. Remember, the alliance is facing off members in Madhya Pradesh in specific. A statement coming in from the Samajwadi Party head Akhilesh Yadav, in which he said, and you can see this statement on the screen, that the PDA will answer Congress. He's essentially referring to those who belong to backward classes and minorities. Remember, this is the second such statement that the Samajwadi Party leader has made of this nature in the last few days. Over the weekend at a rally in Madhya Pradesh, he'd said that the Congress was not a trustworthy party. Now he's making this statement. Remember, the big question in the run-up to the Madhya Pradesh elections had been whether or not the I.N.D.I.A alliance partners would engage in seat sharing or not. Obviously, the alliance was formed with the goal of seat sharing in the 2024 elections. But there was a big question mark hanging over whether that seat sharing would be there in regional elections too. Take a look at what Akhilesh Yadav had to say, then we'll connect with the reporter for more.
देखिए, कांग्रेस नहीं चाहती कि हम उनके सहयोगी दल बने। कांग्रेस नहीं चाहती कि उनका सहयोगी दल मैं बनूं। इसी तरह अगर आज देखे होंगे, आप पार्टी के खिलाफ भी कांग्रेस बोल रही है, तो ये वो दल हैं जो सहयोगी दल हैं। ये मौका था कांग्रेस पार्टी के पास, जहां पर छोटे दलों को साथ लेकर के एक गठबंधन का संदेश दिया जाता, लेकिन क्योंकि वो सोचते हैं कि जनता उनके साथ खड़ी है, लेकिन पीडीए उनको जवाब देगा इस बार।
अब वो देखिए, अरविंद केजरीवाल तो मैं जानता हूँ पहले से भी वो पूरी तरीके से भाजपा से मिले हुए थे। जब 2014 में बनारस चुनाव लड़ने आए तो भी वो सेटिंग गेटिंग के तहत ही आए थे। तो वो भी, मैं जहाँ तक मेरी जानकारी है, मेरी व्यक्तिगत जो राय है कि वो भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी की बी टीम के रूप में काम कर रहे हैं।
इंडी गठबंधन वाले लोग ही कांग्रेस को कोस रहे हैं। वो कह रहे हैं कांग्रेस भरोसा करने लायक पार्टी नहीं है। इंडी गठबंधन वाले लोग ही कांग्रेस को कोस रहे हैं। वो कह रहे हैं कांग्रेस भरोसा करने लायक पार्टी नहीं है।
My colleague Pallavi with us to bring us more context on these developments. Pallavi, the second such statement we've seen coming in from Akhilesh Yadav, and both of these statements have touched on one factor. It seems as if they're gunning for the Congress's big claim of being pro those who belong to the lower and backward castes. We know that the Congress has really been pushing for a caste census in each of their manifestos. Is this what the Samajwadi Party is angling for with these comments?
Absolutely, because in Uttar Pradesh, it's the minorities which matter a lot, the lower caste which matter a lot, and therefore for the Congress to do well in this state particularly, which is for now more stronghold of the SP rather than the Congress party, both of them are in competition to each other as far as this particular vote bank goes. We are going to see more and more bitterness and acrimony between the two of them, and when we come down to seat sharing talks, that acrimony is going to become even more between the two, with the SP accusing Congress of duplicity and hypocrisy.
Okay. Pallavi, can you also... All right. Okay. I believe we've run out of time on this story. Pallavi, we're going to move on. Thank you for bringing us those details. Let's now move on to developments taking place in Tamil Nadu. Let's take a look very quickly. Udhayanidhi Stalin's first reaction, I believe, to what it is that the Madras High Court had to say a few hours ago. You remember the Madras High Court pulled up the Tamil Nadu police for not taking action against Udhayanidhi Stalin, the DMK leader, for the comments that he originally made at a conference a few weeks ago. You remember he had said that the Sanatan Dharma needs to be eradicated. It's a statement that the DMK leader himself has stood by in the weeks since. But the High Court pulling up police, take a look at what Stalin had to say.
The Madras High Court has made its remarks on Sanatana Dharma.
Yeah, we will face it legally. Whatever it is, we'll face it legally. I have not said anything wrong. I have spoken against caste discrimination. I have not spoken about any religion or caste. I have spoken about caste discrimination. So we'll face it legally. Thank you.
All right, as you can see over there, Udhayanidhi Stalin repeating a line and a thought point that we've seen before too, that the DMK will very much continue to stick to their guns. You'll remember that the leader had in the past too said that his comments were very, very, very similar to the central pillars of the DMK party. Essentially, he'd said that calling out Sanatan Dharma for its practices, particularly those practices that according to him were oppressive to lower castes, was a very central part of the DMK's philosophy over the last few decades. You remember this is a comment that the leader first made weeks ago, and in the aftermath of him making this comment, you'd in fact seen contradicting comments come in from other I.N.D.I.A alliance leaders. The BJP had used that as an opportunity to point out cracks within the I.N.D.I.A alliance. But it's important to point out that in the weeks after that comment was made, we saw no backtracking at all from the DMK leader or his father, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. They very much stuck to their guns and said that this comment was along the lines of the party's philosophy. Now, I do want to point out to you that the other part of this comment is that Udhayanidhi Stalin has also said that the party will match this comment in court. Rather, they'll see the future of this legally. I'll face it legally is what Udhayanidhi Stalin has said. What that will actually mean, of course, remains to be seen. But it's important to point out the High Court in this judgment. This is the judgment that came out a few hours ago, earlier today at about 11 a.m. At that point, the High Court was commenting on a different petitioner who'd asked to hold a very similar conclave to the conclave at which Stalin had made these first comments. Now, when he put that petition forth, the High Court dismissed it. And in that dismissal, they in fact pulled up the Tamil Nadu police and said that they should have taken more action against Stalin for his comments. That's the timeline of events as it's played out. My colleague Purnima, who actually is conducting that interview in the video with Udhayanidhi Stalin, she's with us right now to tell us more. Purnima, can you tell our audiences, Stalin has said, we will take it up legally. What is he saying? What is the path forward, perhaps, that the DMK will be pursuing now?
Well, in fact, there have been a lot of petitions that have been filed with regards to Udhayanidhi Stalin statement made on the 2nd of September at a conference titled Eradicating Sanatana Dharma. So one of the petitions was of course dismissed by the Madras High Court, but the observation that the Madras High Court made before dismissing the petition was that the police failed to take action against ministers including Udhayanidhi Stalin and Sekarbabu, who is the Hindu Charitable Endowments Minister, because of which there have been petitions requesting the courts to give permission to conduct anti-Sanatana Dharma, like anti-Dravidian ideology conference, and that says that in fact the Madras High Court says is because of police inaction against ministers who participated in the event and created sort of communal hatred, and that's why such petitions are now being submitted before the court. There have been petitions against Udhayanidhi Stalin's statement. This, of course, was one of the petitions filed, and the Madras High Court has in fact questioned the Tamil Nadu police in action. The Tamil Nadu police had given permission for the conference to be conducted in the first place. So why allow conferences that are against any particular ideology and create hatred? That's the word that came in from the Madras High Court before they dismissed this petition. Udhayanidhi Stalin says that whatever cases are pending against him, he and the party will face it legally, but sticks to his stance that he only said that he and his party have opposed principles of Sanatana Dharma, not now but for centuries. That's the word that's coming in from Udhayanidhi Stalin and senior leaders of the DMK who completely back Udhayanidhi Stalin on this.
Purnima, can I ask you to stay with us? We play out that comment from Stalin. This is his first formal reaction to what the Madras High Court had to say. We'll play it out, then we'll come back to you for more questions.
Yeah, we face it legally. Whatever it is, we'll face it legally. I have not said anything wrong. I have spoken against caste discrimination. I have not spoken about any religion or caste. I have spoken about caste discrimination. So we'll face it legally. Thank you.
Okay, Narayan Tirupati from the BJP is with us. Sir, we actually spoke to you earlier today when the Madras High Court had actually made this pronouncement in which they'd pulled up the Tamil Nadu police for standing by, essentially. This is the language they'd used when Udhayanidhi Stalin made that statement. Now we have Stalin's first reaction. He is sticking to his guns. Like we've seen him stick to his guns in the past. After that initial statement, the DMK leader very much stood by his statement. Now too, he's doing exactly that. He's also saying the DMK will pursue legal options. What does the BJP make of it, sir?
What is the legal option? He has to face the court. A lot of cases are happening there. So he should, and he will face the court. He will face the heat of the court, and Whatever the court has said, I think Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin as a minister he has to follow. Otherwise, for the oath he has taken as a minister, he is unfit to be a minister. So I think Mr. Stalin, the chief minister, has to take a call now immediately on to whether to continue with Udhayanidhi Stalin or not. He should apologize, or I think he should resign, or Mr. Stalin should dismiss him. That's it.
So Stalin himself, though, he seems unfazed. I mean, not just what he said, even his body language. He seems very unfazed by what the Madras High Court has said. What do you make of that, sir?
No, he says as if he doesn't know what the court has said. But the court has been very, very clear to the police that the police has relinquished from their duties. So definitely the Tamil Nadu police has to take immediate action, because the police, a matter of who is there in the power, should try to respect the court. And they have to take action against Udhayanidhi Stalin. If they don't, definitely they will also feel the hit from the court.
Sir, thank you for joining us. Thank you for bringing us your perspective on this. Let's hear more from the BJP on this story. Let's take a look. My colleague Anand sat down with Annamalai, a leader, key leader for the state. Take a look.
The 2024 narrative is that RSS BJP is representing Sanatan, and Sanatan needs to be eradicated, and it can be eradicated only when this RSS BJP brand of politics is eradicated out of Tamil Nadu.
I'm very happy that DMK is getting into Sanatana Dharma for the 2024. Now, when they got into that conversation for 2024, when I challenged the DMK, come, let us fight the election on Sanatana Dharma. Immediately they saw the people's support. It has become a talking point in the tea shops, villages. Till now, Sanatana Dharma in Tamil Nadu was portrayed as a Brahmin priestly class, North Indian. Then they always said Sanatana Dharma is different from Hindu Dharma. That is how Tamil Nadu politicians over a long time have spoken. Now, social media, everybody follows everybody, everybody reads everything. Now clearly they know what is Sanatana Dharma, eternal Dharma, timeless Dharma, Hindu Dharma, same. When people got only the small shift, immediately Udhayanidhi Stalin said, oh, 2025 don't want to talk about Sanatana Dharma, let us talk for 2026. That itself showed they want to go one step back foot on Sanatana Dharma. DMK till now is struggling to find a narrative. Is it going to be NEET? Is it going to be Sanatana Dharma? Is it going to be Delhi trying to plunder Tamil Nadu's resources? Or is it going to be our alliance will safeguard India's secular fabric? Whatever they are trying to say. People say, what is DMK trying to say for 2024? So that itself is a huge success, because DMK till now couldn't come with a single narrative. This election is all about this.
Okay, we're heading into a short break. On the other side, in just a few minutes, more of the country's top stories. This is The Nation at 5.
Or electronic engines, but yes, we can see that there is very little check and balances that have been made at this point in time, and vehicles are being allowed to move freely from outside the national capital to within the national capital. Many other steps have also been taken by the Delhi government. If I could just show you in the visuals, on the other side of the road, the sprinklers are being used by the Delhi government to make sure that the pollutants that are on the road, the dust particles that are on the road, they stay down and they do not get up in the air, which would eventually mean that the AQI will get even worse. But yes, steps like these can only be seen like a drop in the ocean, because yes, the AQI in the national capital is continuously deteriorating. For the past 4 days, the people of Delhi are being forced to breathe in this toxic air, whereas very little to no work has been done to improve the AQI out here in the national capital. But yes, one thing has remained constant over the past 1 decade, that is politics around the pollution levels out here in the national capital. Be it the Delhi government or be it the central government, we have seen the constant blaming of each other for this deteriorating air quality in the national capital. But yes, there is very little to no result that has been seen that could have improved the AQI out here in the national capital. Now what remains to be seen, that today is day 4 that Delhi continues to breathe in severe air quality, and it is expected that over the next few days the AQI will remain in the severe category itself because of the weather and wind conditions. Will our governments finally get their acts together and put in a policy that would make sure that the AQI in the national capital that turns the Delhi NCR region into a gas chamber year in and year out, that could be improved for once and for all.
बोल रहे हैं 900 से ऊपर चला गया। मुझे समझ में नहीं आता कि ये पराली का जो प्रॉब्लम है ये हर साल का प्रॉब्लम है, स्पेसिफिक इसी टाइम पे क्यों होता है। ब्लेम गेम चल रहा है कि दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट बोलती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट बोलती है दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट। बोल रहे हैं 900 से ऊपर चला गया। मुझे समझ में नहीं आता कि ये पराली का जो प्रॉब्लम है ये हर साल का प्रॉब्लम है, स्पेसिफिक इसी टाइम पे क्यों होता है। और यहाँ पे इतनी हालत ख़राब है। मैं जोधपुर में था 15 दिन, वहाँ जोधपुर में तो आसमान में आप तारे गिन लो, उत्तराखंड में चले जाओ वहाँ तारे गिन लो। तो गवर्नमेंट को कुछ करना चाहिए। ब्लेम गेम चल रहा है कि दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट बोलती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट बोलती है दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट। और 500 किलोमीटर की रेंज भी नहीं है। हरियाणा और पंजाब तो कोई एक ही, अगर देखा जाए जोग्राफिकली कोई बहुत बड़ा डिफरेंस नहीं है। तो कुछ ना कुछ होना चाहिए। खाली मुझे नहीं लगता कि खाली पराली का ही कारण है, और भी बहुत सारे कारण हैं। तो कुछ ना कुछ होना चाहिए, क्योंकि दिल्ली में रहना मतलब ये है, अगर आप दिल्ली में रह रहे हो तो अपनी लाइफ जो है आप 5-7 साल डेफिनेटली कम कर रहे हो कंपेयर टू अदर प्लेस जहाँ पे ये सब स्थिति नहीं है। तो स्थिति बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। कुछ ना कुछ ज़रूर होना चाहिए, मुझे लगता है।
Stage 4 of the Graded Response Action Plan has been implemented out here in the national capital, which means that vehicles coming from outside the borders of the national capital, they would be checked and stopped, and only those vehicles that are carrying essential commodities or are operating or CNG or on electronic mode will be allowed to enter the national capital. Currently, I am reporting from one such border of the NCR region. This road connects Gazipur, Uttar Pradesh state towards the national capital. If I could just move out of the frame and try and show you in the visuals over here, that none of the vehicles, absolutely no vehicles that are crossing this border are being checked. They are being allowed to travel inside the national capital unabated. Over the past 1 month, we have seen that several stages of the Graded Response Action Plan has been implemented out here in the national capital, but the reality on the ground seems to be absolutely different, because there are very few checkpoints that have been placed out here in the national capital to make sure that the GRAP, that is reason why the GRAP is implemented, that could also be implemented on the ground apart from being implemented on paper. A big reason behind this is being said that the civil defense volunteers who are part of the Delhi government have actually given up their job because they haven't gotten the salary for a very long time, and that is the reason why they are not deployed on the ground, making sure that whatever measures that have been implemented through the GRAP policy, that is implemented on the ground as well. So yes, it remains to be seen if at all the Delhi government can find some way to make sure that whatever policies they are trying to bring in at this point in time to make sure that the air quality remains under control and people of Delhi are allowed to breathe in fresh air, that is implemented on the ground. But yes, hectic parleys are continuing between the Delhi government and the Delhi administration, but we are still waiting to see some concrete solution that is given out and that could be implemented on the ground, which could eventually mean that the people of Delhi who are running from pillar to post to just get a grasp of fresh air can actually breathe in fresh air and air that is safe for them, safe for their children and safe for their parents as well.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5 right here on CNN News 18. Let's now take you to a election-related story. We're taking you to the state of Chhattisgarh. Over the last few months, the Enforcement Directorate has been investigating the founders of a betting app, Mahadev betting app. You'll remember that the ED's allegation against the founders and the promoters who are located in the UAE is that they were using the app for a money laundering operation. Now, over the last few days, the ED has in fact widened the net of its allegations. The ED has said that 2 of the accused in the case have come forward and named the Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel. Essentially, they've said that promoters of the Mahadev app were trying to launder money directly to the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh in lieu of protection. Now, it's important to point out here that the Chhattisgarh Chief Minister has said that all of these allegations are, in his words, utter rubbish. He's also said that the ED is once again being misused by the BJP right in time for the elections to dominate the news cycle. Now we're going to walk you through each of the comments that has come in. First, take a look at what one of the accused in the case, Shubham Soni, had to say. This is in a video that he recorded from the UAE that actually came out yesterday. It's important to point out via a BJP press conference. Take a look.
मैं सितंबर 2020 में दुबई आया. जैसा कि मेरा मीटिंग हुआ था सीएम साहब से, तो उन्होंने बोला था कि दुबई जाओ, अपना काम बढ़ाओ और वहाँ मीटिंग करो जाके. तो मैं गया और मीटिंग भी हुआ मेरा कई लोगों से. तो 2 लोग के साथ मेरा यहाँ बिजनेस भी सेट हो गया और अच्छा खासा काम भी बढ़ने लगा. सब कुछ ओके चलने लगा. जैसा सीएम साहब बोले थे सब बढ़िया हो गया. उसके बाद मुझे यहाँ 2 लोग मिले जो मेरे भिलाई के ही थे, सौरभ और रवि. तो वो लोग से मैं मिला. उनका यहाँ कंस्ट्रक्शन का काम था. तो मैंने सोचा मैं भी काम चालू कर लेता हूँ, यहाँ अच्छा काम है ये चीज़. तो मैं उन्हें अपना पर्सनल एडवाइज़र रख लिया ये काम पे, कंस्ट्रक्शन के काम पे. अब इसके बाद हुआ ये कि फेमस ये लोग होने लगे महादेव बुक के नाम से. मैंने बुक खड़ा किया, मैंने बुक चालू किया, फेमस ये लोग हो रहे हैं. मैंने 0 से चालू करके पूरा आसमान तक पहुंचाया इस बुक को, और फेमस ये लोग हो रहे हैं. बताओ, ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. ठीक है, उनको आशीर्वाद नहीं था सीएम साहब का, इसलिए उनको वो फेमस हो गए. ये गलत बात है ना. इस चीज़ का बुरा लगता है बहुत ज़्यादा. एक बात बता रहा हूँ आपको, हमारे सीएम साहब का एक आदत है, बघेल जी का, कि वो कुछ दिन में पलटी मार देते हैं. और ऐसा मेरे साथ हुआ है. जब उन्होंने मुझे दुबई भेजा कि वहाँ जाके अपना काम सेटल करो, लोगों से मिलो, तो मैं गया, मिला भी और मेरा काम भी बहुत अच्छा सेट हो गया. उसके बाद हुआ ये कि कुछ दिन तक तो अच्छा चला. उसके बाद फिर प्रॉब्लम आने लगा मेरे काम पे. वर्मा जी तो वहीं उतर गए. फिर गिरीश तिवारी मुझे लेके गए, हमारे उस समय के एसपी हैं प्रशांत अग्रवाल जी. उनसे जाके मेरा मीटिंग कराया. अब मैं उनको अपना प्रॉब्लम पूरा शेयर किया. तब वो फ़ोन घुमाए और उसके बाद वो बात किए. लाउड स्पीकर में ही था फ़ोन, तो सीधा सीधा आवाज़ तो समझ आ ही रहा था, हमारे बघेल जी का ही आवाज़ था वो. तो पूरा प्रॉब्लम बताने के बाद उन्होंने वहाँ से ये बोला कि कैसे रे सोनी, तेरे को मैं वहाँ भेजा था दुबई काम सेट करने के लिए, तू तो मालिक बन के बैठ गया है, शेख बन गया क्या वहाँ का. अब मैं तो प्रशांत अग्रवाल जी के जब मेरा मीटिंग हुआ उसके बाद से मैंने अब तक 508 करोड़ रुपए दे चुका है. हमारे बघेल साहब, बिट्टू भैया और उनके जो लोग हैं, उनको मैंने 508 करोड़ रुपए दिया है. आपको जैसा एविडेंस चाहिए, जैसा प्रूफ चाहिए, मैंने जैसे जैसे पैसा उनको दिया है, हर चीज़ का मेरे पास एविडेंस, प्रूफ, हर चीज़, एक एक चीज़ पड़ा हुआ है.
कल से या पिछले 3 दिन से आप लगातार निशाने पर हैं. पर्सनल एलिगेशंस ऑफ करप्शन आप पर बीजेपी लगा रही है.
निशाने पर तो अमित शाह जी और नरेंद्र मोदी जी हैं. वो अपने संबंध बता नहीं पा रहे हैं. आखिर उनके महादेव से उनका संबंध क्या है? वो बताएं उस पर कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं हो रही है, गिरफ्तारियां क्यों नहीं हो रही है, क्योंकि आपका लेन देन तो नहीं हो गया है, इस कहाँ से कार्रवाई नहीं कर रहे हैं।
तो शुभम सोनी ने जो कल वीडियो रिलीज किया सर आपका नाम लेते हुए कि आप मिले, इससे डैमेज होगा आपको?
अच्छा एक चीज़ बताइए, ईडी 2 साल से जांच कर रही है और उसको प्रेस रिलीज किया, उसमें एक अधिकारी बताया महादेव आपको, अब वो बताता है मैं मालिक हूँ, तो पहले ये तय कर ले वो मालिक है उसका नौकर है।
तो आप डेफेमेशन का सोच रहे हैं या इलेक्शन कमीशन में जाने की सोच रहे हैं?
17 तारीख तक आप सब लोग मजा लीजिए।
हाँ।
सब पूरे देश के और प्रदेश की जनता इसका मजा ले कि 17 तारीख तक इस प्रकार से बहुत सारे वीडियो, बहुत सारे वक्तव्य इनके तरफ भारतीय जनता पार्टी की तरफ से आएगा, क्योंकि वो हार रही है।
मैं स्तब्ध हूँ कि भारतीय राजनीति में पहली बार छत्तीसगढ़ में कांग्रेस पार्टी दुबई के माध्यम से हवाला ऑपरेटर्स के सहयोग से अपना चुनाव लड़ रही है। कल रात को जिस प्रकार से महादेव ऐप को चलाने वाले व्यक्ति ने खुलासा किया कि उन्होंने भूपेश बघेल को 508 करोड़ रुपए की घूस दी है, साथ ही उस व्यक्ति ने ये भी कहा है कि उसके पास साक्ष्य हैं, प्रमाण हैं। ये बात छत्तीसगढ़ का बच्चा बच्चा जानता है कि भूपेश बघेल की जो सहयोगी हैं सौम्या जी, वो वर्तमान में हिरासत में है एक और घोटाले के लिए, कोयला घोटाले के लिए। एक और पत्रकार का एक वीडियो वायरल हुआ है जिसमें वो भूपेश बघेल जी से देभर परिवार के साथ उनके संबंधों के बारे में पूछ रहे हैं, और ये वो परिवार है जो शराब घोटाले में लिप्त है।
उसके साथ क्या होता आपने देखा, मुझसे क्या पूछ रहे हैं, पूरा देश देख रहा है। उसके साथ क्या होता आपने देखा, मुझसे क्या पूछ रहे हैं, पूरा देश देख रहा है। उसके साथ क्या होता आपने देखा, मुझसे क्या पूछ रहे हैं, पूरा देश देख रहा है।
There is this allegation coming from the CM that there has been a long delay in banning the Mahadev app. What is the truth to this?
It is true. There has been a long delay because he, as the government of Chhattisgarh, started investigating these apps 1.5 years ago, and it is fully within his power to have written a letter to the government of India, to MeitY, to ask for the blocking of those apps. He could have done it the first 5 minutes after detecting these betting apps, but he chose not to do it. He chose to have this investigation go on for 1.5 years, and has obviously collected 508 crores as a consequence of extending this investigation. And today, when he is caught out by the Enforcement Directorate, and when he's caught out by our blocking the apps, he is trying to create a narrative that this was not his responsibility. It was squarely his responsibility. His administration was investigating the illegal criminal app, and it was his duty to ask for these apps to be blocked immediately upon starting of the investigation. Instead, he has done what is obviously now known to everybody. He prolonged the investigation for 1.5 years, did not take any action against the app, did not ask the government of India to take any action against the app, and therefore we have what we have, which is that he has profited 508 crores from the same people as a kickback, and he has to answer where that money came from, why he took the money, and why he did not act in banning this illegal enterprise, illegal criminal enterprise of betting.
24 अगस्त को माननीय मुख्यमंत्री बघेल जी ने बहुत विस्तार से व्यापक रूप से प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की थी। ये तारीखें महत्वपूर्ण हैं, यहीं की थी, इसी मंच से की थी, और आपको पूरा चिट्ठा खोल के बताया था कि ये हुआ महादेव ऐप में, इस प्रकार से जांच हुई, इतना जब्त हुआ, इतने लोग गिरफ्तार हुए, इतने केस हुए। ये कितने महीने हो गए? 3 महीने से ज़्यादा की बात है। उसके बाद केंद्र सरकार ने किसी रूप से इसको बैन नहीं किया, और किसी रूप से जो आज कह रहे हैं वो तब से अभी तक भी नहीं कहा, यानी अगस्त के बाद भी नहीं कहा।
आप बताइए, महादेव ऐप में 508 करोड़ रुपए बघेल को दिया गया कि नहीं दिया गया? दिया गया है। तो ये भ्रष्टाचारी सरकार, इसको रहने देने का अधिकार है क्या? नहीं।
Okay, this is a story that's playing out right now in Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh is one of 5 states that are heading into elections over the next few days. As we've already told you in the course of this show, Chhattisgarh and Mizoram will see elections tomorrow. But for Chhattisgarh, that's one of just 2 phases. You also have Telangana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, that will also be going into elections over the next few days. Now, I do want to bring you one last ground report. After that, we'll bring our show to a close. This ground report comes in from Rajasthan, where both the BJP and the Congress seem to have a divided house. Infighting over the last few years that we've reported between the former Deputy Chief Minister Sachin Pilot and the Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. Within the BJP too, it seems as if there is no clear chief ministerial face, with reporters indicating that there was some dissatisfaction within the Vasundhara Raje camp in the BJP, for example. My colleague N18L is on the ground in Rajasthan. And lastly, he brings you this ground report. This is an interview with the BJP MP in Rajasthan. Take a look and thank you for watching.
योगी जी, क्यों आप अपने आप को योगी ऑफ राजस्थान बोलते हैं? क्योंकि मैं आपका गाना भी सुन रहा था IT सेल का, बोल रहा था छोटा योगी।
किसका?
आप लोगों का गाना चल रहा था।
ये गाना तो देखो लोगों के द्वारा बनाया गया है। बाकी नाथ संप्रदाय का संत योगी संप्रदाय हमको पूरा समाज मानता है और योगी संप्रदाय नाथ संप्रदाय योगी कहलाता है। ऐसा कोई बात नहीं कि क्यों मैं अपने आप को योगी बोलता हूँ, क्योंकि हम नाथ संप्रदाय से हैं।
सर, वो ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, आपके लिए आपके साथ योगी आदित्यनाथ का अच्छा संबंध है। 2019 में आपके लिए प्रचार किए, इस बार आपके लिए आए हैं। क्या ये आपको लगता है कि आगे के दिनों में चल के आप अपने आप को योगी आदित्यनाथ, राजस्थान के योगी आदित्यनाथ बना सकते हैं?
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। जनता बोलती है क्योंकि हम भी एक पंथ संप्रदाय से हैं। हम एक ही पंथ संप्रदाय से, और आज माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी जैसा बनना हर एक व्यक्ति चाहता है, क्योंकि उनका नेतृत्व तो उनका व्यक्तित्व है, और जिस प्रकार से कार्यशैली से उन्होंने देश का विकास किया है, आज हर व्यक्ति उनको फॉलो करता है, अपना रोल मॉडल मानता है। तो ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है, क्योंकि हम दोनों एक ही संप्रदाय पंथ से हैं। एक तरह से हम दोनों गुरु भाई हैं। उस नाते लोग इस बात को जोड़ते हैं।
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Even as the entire Delhi NCR region has been gasping for a decent breath, the number of farm fire incidents surged to 3,230 in a single day in Punjab on Sunday. This is a significant increase from 1,300 plus